everybody? Welcome to Capital Combat. The name says it all. I'm Hakeem Branch, and today we're going to recap UFC 260, which went down this past Saturday on ESPN pay-per-view. Now, I'm sure you have heard the results of this fight being this Monday. So, Francis Ngannou becomes the new UFC heavyweight champ, and we're going to talk about the how and what he did to make that happen. Also, how it measures up to what we thought in the preview video as far as our predictions for the fight and how we thought it would go. So check out that video if you haven't. Hit the subscribe button and see all the videos that Rob and myself post so you can be caught up on all your combat sports action, boxing, kickboxing, and other sports as well when we cover those. So we also will talk about the co-main event between Vicente Luque and Tyron Woodley, and what ended up being a barn burner couple minutes of a fight. And that's where we're going to start, because that's what we talked about in the preview video. And in the preview video, I talked about the past performances of Woodley, how he looked up to, in those losses, and pretty much how his back was against the wall in this fight. We picked Luque to win. However, we picked him to win by decision. Looking at Woodley's past performances, he would do enough to survive, but he wasn't really looking like he was trying to win. And that was a big difference in this fight. In this fight, he came out swinging for the fences immediately. He came out walking forward. He came out highly aggressive, and that's something that you rarely see from Woodley, especially later on into his career. So it was a good surprise for the fans and everyone watching, and also because of the result. He was able to hurt Luque with one of those patented overhand rights. However, he didn't tighten those up, got a little too sloppy, and then was caught by a counter by Luque. And it was a nasty counter. Woodley was hurt bad, stumbling around the ring. We thought they were going to stop the fight. Personally, I thought they were going to stop it when he was still standing, because he was kind of leaning away from Luque as he was trying to utilize his defense, and he really looked out of it. Then he lands another overhand right and hurts Luque again. However, Luque stayed composed, used a more technical striking technique, was able to get Woodley down to the ground, and then put him in a Darce choke, and Woodley was forced to tap. Now, as far as entertainment factor, this was definitely the fight of the night. It had the most back and forth ebbs and flows as far as competitiveness, and it also was highly entertaining. So if I'm Tyron Woodley, I would not be upset with that. However, it is still disappointing because this is his fourth straight loss. So what happens to him from here, we don't know. He may be cut from the UFC. We talked about that in the preview video, that it could happen. So for Luque, he should most likely get another top 10 opponent and maybe begin to put himself into the list of fighters that would be eligible for a title shot against Kamaru Usman, which would be a really good fight. They are also former teammates as well, so we would have that angle again like they had with him and Burns, but he may be one or two more fights away before that's really a possibility. So let's now talk about the main event. This is what everyone's talking about. Francis Ngannou snatching the UFC heavyweight title from the most accomplished heavyweight champ in UFC history, Stipe Miocic. Now, we all know this is a rematch from a fight back in 2018 in which Stipe was able to pretty much manhandle Francis to a unanimous decision. A lot of people thought that, that would pretty much be the case again, unless Francis caught him. I mean, that's pretty much the narrative for any Francis fight. If he catches you, you're done. If he doesn't, maybe you can, ride out to a decision or not. Many people have tried. Many people have failed. Stipe was successful. So how was he successful in the first fight? We know he used a lot of wrestling, and he also had a A1 chin because he ate some nasty bombs in that first fight, and it was not different in the second fight. Francis came out this time a lot more measured, a lot less out of control, and he looked like he had a game plan that he was focused on sticking to. So that looked a little, looking at Stipe's face, he was like, oh, he's not charging at me. This is different. Francis is offering a lot of feints. He's level changing with his body positioning. So he's looking a lot different than he did in the first fight. But he still landed one of those bombs, and Stipe showed a A1 chin once again. Every shot that Francis landed looked like a knockout blow, but Stipe was taking them very well. Now, in my opinion, and most people's opinion, the fight changed when Stipe attempted for a takedown and Francis stuffed it with a textbook sprawl. He then transitioned to get Stipe's back and landed a lot of shots on the ground. When they broke from that exchange, Stipe looked very, I would say, kind of discouraged. He was like, wow, he just completely stuffed my takedown. I did not expect that. And he did it with ease, too. But I think Francis looked a little tired after that also. He kind of went a little crazy on those shots. However, stayed composed, and he also did something else that was very good. He was cutting the cage off on Stipe. When Stipe would try to use that lateral movement, Francis was right there with him, going right back in front of him. Stipe never got his back off the cage. Like he was always being stalked this entire fight. And, had Stipe been able to cut some more angles and, turn Francis around, maybe things end up a little differently. But, we get into the second round. It's a lot more of the same. Francis, changing his levels. Stipe's not offering a lot of offense. He's doing some leg kicks. He's throwing a few punches here and there. But it really seemed like he was trying to wait Francis out for him to get tired before he really started to put on the pressure. And that backfired on him. So, of course, he's taking hard shot after hard shot, and he's looking like he's taking it well. Then he gets hurt, and Francis is going to try to stop him, and Stipe hits him with a nice counter right, and Francis backs up a little bit, and you can see Stipe's eyes go, woo! It's like he saw blood, and he ran in and caught the check hook that put his lights out. Referee Herb Dean tried to get there in time, but he takes one nasty hammer fist on the ground. He's already out, you could tell. But history has been made. Francis Ngannou is now the UFC heavyweight champ. And he is the third person from the continent of Africa to hold the UFC title, joining the likes of Israel Adesanya and Kamaru Usman. So he's got good company. Those are two elite high-level fighters. Francis is also an elite high-level fighter because he just beat one of the best heavyweights to grace the mixed martial arts competitive sport. So it's nothing to hang his head at as far as Stipe. He did a great job as UFC champion. 4 defenses had never been done before. Those coming against Daniel Cormier, Francis the first time, Junior Dos Santos, and Alistair Overeem. Those are 4 guys who you do not shake your head at as far as a defense. Those are all great fighters and former champs. So he's got an extensive resume. So what happens next? Everyone immediately turns to John Jones, who has been lobbying for the last maybe year or so about moving to heavyweight and being the caliber of fighter he is, his accolades at light heavyweight, he for sure gets a title shot in his first fight at the weight. However, there's a lot of room between the cup and the lip for that one, and based on the press conference, it may not happen. We also have a rematch. Stipe may say, hey, I need to run that back. We're 1-1. Let's go for the trilogy. That's another option. You also have Derek Lewis, who's on a major tear right now. He has done great since his loss in a title fight to Daniel Cormier. So he has been performing at a high level also. So we have a lot of options for Francis to have his first title defense. And all of them look amazing. Like, there's no way that you could say that any of these would be a bad fight. Except we do have that Francis and Derek Lewis fought before, and the fight was not great. However, I don't think that's going to be the case again. Just like in this fight was completely different than the first fight between Stipe and Francis. Now, personally, I did not think that he was going to be able to pull it off because of the A1 chin of Stipe. I thought he'd take those shots and then be able to take them into deep waters again, and it was not the case. The calm, measured predator is a sight to behold, and it's a scary one at that. So, like I commented, I posted on Facebook and was like, man, I've never seen someone win the biggest prize in the sport and act so calmly about it. I mean, he kind of just raised his arms, was like, yeah. And everything, he's just walking around there doing a post-fight interview. He's just sounding like, it's just another day for him, which is crazy. And like, if you have not heard this man's story, he was a guest on the Joe Rogan podcast and told his backstory. We have a little bit of it, but it was a firsthand telling of his backstory and how he escaped from his home country and into Europe and then over to America. And it's something. And when you think about all of the things that this man has been through, to now be the baddest man on the planet, wow. Like, it's a story, and it's great. And he's one of those people that you root for. Like, I don't understand if you are not rooting for Francis Ngannou right now. Whether you thought he was going to win the fight or not, there's no way around him being just a stand-up guy. And we need a lot of that, especially in a sport where, gimmicks are starting to become a trend instead of, guys showcasing the skill and just letting it be that, and being genuine people. They're putting on acts. They're just like, I have to be like this in order for people to pay attention to me. And Francis is just showing, hey, you give them what they want, knock them out, you can be yourself. So he's not only a great person to look up to as a fighter, he is showing to be a great fighter. So what do you all think of the fight? Let me know what you thought down in the comment section. Who do you think is next for Francis, and why? And if there anything on the undercard that you thought was cool, also you can comment about that too, and we can talk about it. So hit us up on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Capital Combat. Subscribe if you haven't done so, and we'll see you in the next video. Till then, fight on.
Round one, and you've already lost. They don't seem to see that everything we've done is coming and cost. My fists are on fire, I perform till I perspire. My demons are in a rage, keep thinking that it's a game. I kick rhyme, hurricane. I told them I don't play, I'm liquid.
The Black Street Fighter.